Here. We have Samantha from the UCareer Success Office. I think it's really useful, very timely information for you all to hear from UCareer Success. And so we're gonna let her take it away.
Hey. Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha Wiesel. I'm a career coach for UCareer Success. I work specifically with first and second year students in the College of Engineering and the School of Computing. We have coaches for every single major, and I'll go a little bit into that just so you know how to access the resource. But today for our workshop, I'm going to go over career exploration. And this is important because it's something you should always be doing, even if you know right now, like this is what my future career is going to be, and this is my job. It's likely to change, which is a good thing. And so just like you are always developing as a human, your career will always develop too. And so knowing the process, what things to be aware of, which things change, will continue to serve you well, because we just want you to have a career that you don't dread going to every day, right? And so knowing all of your tools, you're more likely to find something that you'll be satisfied by. Okay, so this is, well, I guess like this is everyone's first semester here. So has anyone met with a career coach yet? Like super on the ball? Nice, impressive. Okay. So here's a lot of the things that we help students do. We also give workshops on all of these things. And so if you want to get a whole bunch of information within an hour, just like this, you can find workshops on Handshake. Are you all familiar yet with Handshake or heard of it? Okay, I'll include that with like the stuff that I'll send out after, like some handouts. I'll also send up the link to Handshake for those of you that aren't set up on there yet. But in Handshake is where it's one of the best places for you to find jobs and internships. It's an online platform for university students to connect to the career resources at their particular university. It's a nationwide platform. And it's full of employers that are recruiting students. So it's one of the best places for you to find jobs and internships. There's also employers coming to campus a lot. Maybe you've seen the STEM fair coming up or the campus-wide internship fair. And through Handshake is where you find out about those events. As juniors, you should all be maybe considering or working towards an internship next summer. And that's something that we would help you do. And Handshake's a great spot to find those. And attending career fairs and meeting employers when they're on campus is really important. And through Handshake is also where you find those events, along with workshops. We do lots of workshops around campus, just like this one. So you can find all of that stuff in Handshake. It's a really great resource. Oh, sorry, I want to mention just a few more things before we move on to the workshop. So besides all the things that we help students with, it's also important for you to know that you continue to use the resource after you graduate. So as alumni for 2 years, you can keep meeting with a coach and then use some of the other resources in our office. So this includes a free professional headshot, or however many you want to get actually, but we do that for free in our office. We also have a video interview studio. So if you ever have a virtual interview or just need a good space to do some type of professional virtual event, you can schedule to use one of a couple breakout rooms in our office, professional sound and lighting, and our interns will set it up if you don't have any interruptions. Roommates walking around in the background, nice neutral professional background. You could use this space during our office hours if you ever need a space for an interview. And then lastly, we have a career closet in our office. It's a room full of professional clothing. So suits, ties, dresses, pants, button-ups, fancy shoes, all the things. And that's a drop-in service. So you can come by anytime during our office hours and go borrow professional clothing. It's all dry cleaned in between use. It doesn't matter what you're using it for. I mean, the idea would be like interviews or career fair presentation, but students come and just borrow stuff for the weekend. It doesn't matter what it's for. Just know you have access to a closet full of professional clothing. Okay, so let's move into career exploration. So here's what we're going to go over: what the process is to career exploration, how to approach it. And we'll go in depth with one particular assessment that you can use for career exploration. This is a good one for if you don't quite know what you want to go into. It gives you some large categories, which can be nice to just kind of like narrow down maybe their avenues of what you're going into. I imagine for the most part, like in your third year, you probably have an idea of what you're majoring in or your direction. But it could still be helpful to maybe narrow that down within like industries and just to gain more insight and tips out. I'm a huge fan of assessments because I think it helps give us like language to like figure stuff out about ourselves. I think it's important to know like assessments aren't like the tell all. Like humans are much more complicated and that we don't nicely fit into categories, fortunately. So, but I think assessments can be really helpful in at least giving some insight and some language to the things that we can like define ourselves by, or narrowing down just the vastness of career exploration. So I have a lot that I really enjoy doing. We're just going to do the Holland Code today, but I'll tell you about some other ones in case you want to do those as well. And as coaches, you can meet with your coach and really dive into career exploration if you want. So going through the different parts of your that you know about yourself and trying to map that over into like ideal work environments, or if you're wanting to explore a different major, we can help you in that process. Okay, we'll go over additional resources that you can use in the exploration process. And then depending on what kind of time we have left, we can dive into some of those resources so that you can see how to use those in order to learn more about your particular career or to search for careers. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some common career myths. I often hear from students, they feel like they have to know what they're going to do. I mean, I meet mostly with first and second year students, and they still feel that way, like knowing exactly what their major is and what their job title is going to be. They have to have it all figured out. And feeling like you're behind because you don't know all the things yet. Does anybody feel like any of these things, like you're behind? Or like, do you feel pressure to pick a thing based on what other people are expecting of you, family or friends? And then also the idea that whatever you pick, you gotta like stick to it. It's the only way to be successful. There's no changing your course. I mean, there's certainly like, if you change your major your senior year, that's gonna be hard, right? It's a lot of time and money. But the idea of some of these myths is that they're very narrow, and you can change your mind. Your career will change. I'm not encouraging you guys to change your major, but part of career exploration is the more information that you have, the more able you will be to make a decision that fits you best, and then to notice when things change for you. You don't have to know exactly what you're going to do right now. You can think of it as you're just kind of, you're figuring out what your first chapter will be, really, because it will change. So in my career, I'm probably on my like fifth career, and I'm 42. And so that's probably a lot less than most people that I know, because I stayed at one company for 20 years, but in like 3 different capacities. Because once some of the best experience would be once you're actually in the field, you're going to learn a lot more in all of the different avenues. So it's okay to not know exactly what you're going to do. You're just trying to gather information for your first thing. And for those of you that maybe feel a lot of pressure from other people, I think it's important to keep in mind that you're the one that has to go do this job every day. You're the one going to school for it. It's a lot of time and money and energy from you. And so I think, again, the more information you have, it'll be easier for you to navigate those conversations if you're doing something different than maybe what you feel pressured by. I was a high school counselor previous to this job, and that was very common for students. Like, I have to go to this school, I have to major in this thing, because that's what people are expecting of me. But when you are fueled by information and knowledge, it's easier to navigate those conversations. So career exploration can help with that. Okay. So just as a quick little thing, think of maybe like the first job you wanted to be when you were a kid, as far back as, I don't know, whatever age that would be. They say 5. I don't know what I thought about at 5. We can figure that out. But what are some things, anyone willing to share? Like, what was the very first job that you wanted to have? Yeah.
I wanted to be a vet.
Yeah. Is that still what you want to do now?
No.
Yeah. That's actually not even an embarrassing one. My first one was, I wanted to be a pizza maker. So I was walking by, I was like on the street, walking by a place, and there's a big window, and the guy was like tossing up the pizza dough. That is so cool. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Fortunately,
I wanted to be a pop star when I was like 5.
yeah. It's not too late. But you don't have to go to school for it.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share their dream kid job?
So I watched a lot of Magic Squid growing up, and I wanted to be a chef because of that.
Yeah, I love that. So again, these are examples of how it will change, and sometimes that's a really good thing. And it's okay for your pathway to change as you get more information and then as you evolve as a human. So just don't lock yourself into one particular thing. Even with whatever your major is, it's still vast after that with your pathways. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. So we're gonna go into what career exploration is and how to approach it. So there's 4 different avenues to go to do this. And really, it's more like 3. The last one, reflecting and evaluating, you should be doing that full time. We're gonna talk about as we go. The self-exploration, and we're gonna go into each of these. Self-exploration is knowing about yourself, obviously. So the more you know about yourself and then notice as things change, the more likely you are to pick something that aligns with you. And it may not necessarily be a job or a career, but it could be maybe the role that you have, like being in a leadership role or not, or the type of environment that you're in, understanding maybe how you work with others or what kind of supervisor you need. Again, all of these things are little details that go into being satisfied with your career. So learning about yourself, researching your options. This is the part of just like gathering information. Lots of different avenues for this that we'll go over. And then actually like trying stuff on, like physically doing things as a great way to figure out what you like and you don't like. Your classes are an example of this. I'm sure some of you have found that being in a class, you're like, I hate this and I don't want to study this thing. Or maybe within a class in your major, you find something that you enjoy and another part of it that you don't. Those are all examples of like actually trying stuff on. I get carried away. I want to like go into it more, but I'll wait because we're gonna get there. So physically doing things and finding things you don't like is super valuable as well. Sometimes people find that discouraging. Like I just keep finding things I don't like. I can't find the thing that I do like, but you're still narrowing it down. It's really valuable. And reflecting and evaluating, it's part of just like being mindful along the way, noticing things you like and you don't like, noticing things that energize you, things that you find boring. The more you learn about yourself, the more information you have. Okay, so let's dive into knowing yourself. I have to sometimes look at my own things or I just jabber away. Keeps me on point. Okay, so these are some of the larger categories that you can work on learning more about yourself in order to have all the information that you need, or to at least remember that you're always in the exploration process. It's a good thing to continue to gather information. I think it's rare to find someone that has the same job their whole life. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. There's people that would advise you to continue to switch careers because there's opportunity to like make more money with each switch, maybe depending on like the industry that you're in. And so there is no right or wrong, like staying in a thing and switching. It depends on you and what is important to you. Okay, so your personality, this reflects patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Strengths and weaknesses, the things you're good at and the things you're bad at. Everyone's really good at knowing what they're bad at. We're pretty critical of ourselves. So being able to recognize what your strengths are important. I find that if you're not good at finding them in yourself, asking the people that know you really well can give you a good perspective of like, what do you think I'm good at? What's something you like about me? That might be an awkward question to ask. So hopefully it's someone that knows you well and it won't be as awkward. But use your resources around you to gain information about yourself. It can be helpful. Work interests. So this is something we'll dive into with the Holland Code. This includes your preferred activities, your work environments, and particular skills that you like to do within a job. So we'll actually do an assessment on that, which might be helpful. Your personal values. So this is like your compass, the things that kind of pull on your heartstrings. So if you think about when like situations or events, things that make me create like a strong emotional reaction out of you. So this could be an indication of a value, like something that's important for you to live by. Or when you make a decision, what your decision is based in, or maybe how you feel. So for example, let's say you value honesty. And also, side note, like humans don't always act perfectly within their values. So it's because we're humans and we're imperfect. But let's say I value honesty and I tell like a little lie. I'm going to feel uncomfortable with it because I just had a behavior that conflicted with my value. If I don't value honesty, I probably wouldn't even notice or really even care. Not that it's like that's presented in a way that like, if you don't value it, you're a terrible liar. But that's not what I'm saying. It's just kind of like a clue, a thing you could tap into when you have a certain behavior or you make a decision and you feel some dissonance or you feel uncomfortable. that might be an indicator of value that maybe you did something that conflicted with it. Again, these are all just ways to learn more about yourself and identify value. So in comparison, personal values versus work values, a work value would be a quality or characteristic of your job or your work environment. This is actually one of my favorite things to use for career exploration. And it's helped me specifically in my career in terms of switching to find something that was better for me because I noticed my work values changing. So for example, a work value that's important to me now is a work-life balance. When I first started my career, I wasn't worried as much about that. I was more like in a hustle phase of just like, I will be on call for things and I'll work more than 40 hours and I'll do all of the things. And then eventually that burned me out and that was no longer serving me. So changing my career to have a work-life balance because my work value changed made a huge difference. So understanding work values can be really important and being able to also notice when they change. Okay. Oh, and by the way, we won't dive into work values, but I'm going to send as a follow-up worksheet for work values so that if you want to do them, you can, but you can at least see what they are and be familiar with what is important to you right now. I think there's also value in figuring out what doesn't matter to you. Because I think it's the same thing, like finding things you're good at and things you're bad at, finding things you like and you don't like. There's value in both those things on the spectrum. All right, and your passions. So the thing that you kind of can't live without, or the thing that makes you lose track of time when you're here. A lot of times people want a career aligned with their passion, and that could be really great. But there's also the risk of that no longer being a passion when you have to do it to make money. So those are things to consider. It'd be great to right now, and I think about the things I'm passionate about. I would love to get paid to do these things, but then probably wouldn't enjoy it as much because I'd be forced to do it. But knowing what your passions are, even if it's not a particular activity, but maybe it's like, which can kind of go into values, but a certain population or having a certain type of impact, the things that are important to you are things that could be entwined within your career, or making sure that whatever you pick allows you to also have your passions in your life. So what the Holland Code is, this is an interest assessment. It is designed to organize information into like worlds of career planning or like career, not particularly pathways, that's kind of a bit more small, but a world of it based on like personality, like your work personality and preferred skills, or preferred like work environment. So once you have your results, everyone's taken it, then we'll then go into each particular category a little bit more. It'll make more sense and it'll mean more once you know what categories you belong to. I recommend trying to like avoid picking neutral or whatever's in the middle the best you can, or just not as often, like take a little bit extra time and try to think if you land somewhere. It'll just help you get better results, at least give you more to work with. And this site is one of the ones in which you can like research careers. Some of you are probably getting some like matches from you to be like, you would be a great funeral director. Like, I think some of the career options that they throw out might be a little strange, or maybe nothing that you're actually interested in. I think the main thing is like pulling out these categories can be helpful. And if you're getting like weird career suggestions, I recommend like zooming out and maybe thinking of that on a larger lens, which we can talk a little bit more as we go into other exploration things. So, but for this activity, you're just getting your Holland Code. So of these 6 categories, the order from first to last, whichever one was your highest. Second, the categories. Yeah, sorry, I actually didn't explain them well this year. But I mean, you don't have to like erase things on your paper. You just want to get your codes in categories. So you can just write them anywhere. Okay, so again, these 6 different worlds or categories are meant to reflect a combination of your personality traits, your work interests, and your abilities. So let's talk about each one a little bit. Realistic. Who in here had realistic as their first one? Okay. So this is meant to Well, actually, first, let me back up. So if you look on the wheel, your top three are most likely to be like near or like close to each other. This is the way it's kind of designed. So if you look at your first one, it's likely to be across the wheel from whatever is your lowest one. Maybe. So that's kind of how it's meant to be designed, is like, within the six worlds, you kind of get either like a section, and it can be an indication of your opposite. So if we look at the realistic category, these are people that really enjoy like hands-on, like physical skills, would probably be someone that would hate to be indoor at a desk all day. Like they need to be moving, and they need to be would be most satisfied like building things and doing things with their hands. So they tend to be more interested in like objects and tools and machines rather than working with like people and words. Like they would need to maybe create and produce something physical. They like being outside, designing things, and some personality traits that are connected to this would be like being really practical. Being maybe, actually, I think personality is so broad. It's hard to put personality traits to these, but the idea would be like someone that is practical, maybe persistent, maybe kind of black and white, especially if you're like building or creating things. Those tend to be a little bit more rigid. And so then if you see across from that, that's someone that's more hands-on, maybe that is not as open to working with people. You see socials at the opposite side. So this is probably someone that also wouldn't want to like work in theory. Obviously, again, humans were great because we don't fit into categories. Okay, investigative. So investigative, these are like the thinkers. So interests tend to be more around math, reasoning, maybe like the gray areas versus more of the black and white. It's like someone that's realistic. You like working with, could still be working with human behavior, like researching, gathering information, analyzing data, making observations, working with ideas. This tends to be people that are really curious and like to maybe are more analytical. Who in here had investigative as their top one? Nice. Yeah, goodbye, investigative. Okay, awesome. All right, conventional. Conventional, these are the organizers. So people that enjoy working with data, manipulating data or controlling information, making sure things are like tidy and in their place. That stuff is really accurate. Like accuracy would be really important to someone that is conventional. They could enjoy like keeping track of information. If we think about it as like a work environment, this would be someone that would have a hard time with kind of a loose work day where there's a lot of autonomy. It's like a little unclear what you should be doing each day. They would want a work environment that's pretty structured. Like you go in and you know exactly what you need to do. It's predictable. There's not a lot of room for error because it's pretty black and white. So if you think about, so it tends to be people that really value like accuracy, could be really dependable, efficient, really detail oriented. The gray area stuff would be uncomfortable for someone that would be really high and conventional. Anybody in here have conventional as their highest one? Nice. Yeah. So can you guys think of some careers that might be related to conventional, or for you, is your career kind of falling into that world or what you're interested in?
My second highest one, but I think everybody in this room is artistic. I don't know, honestly, it's a lot of careers, it's a support kind of module, I guess, I don't know. It just, being like a producer or something like that.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, I like that you mentioned that because it's kind of a blend of, it sounds like artistic is your other one, which would be kind of opposite, right? Artistic and conventional. Someone that's artistic would probably hate like according to these categories, the constraints of like something super structured. So outside of the obvious thing of just like being a creator and wanting to like do creative things, it kind of reflects a work environment where you have a lot of autonomy. So if you had a supervisor that micromanaged you, most people don't like that, but if the supervisor was really involved in what you were doing or really controlled like when you come and go, like that would be really hard for someone that's as artistic as their category. Like they need a lot more freedom and autonomy to do their work. As well as like it falls into the categories of being really expressive, creative. You want to produce things, and it can be within anything like food, music, written pieces, performances, the whole world of actually like creating art in any capacity. So with artistical or not artistic, these tend to be people that need a lot more independence. And maybe could be seen like as sensitive, and that has a negative connotation to it, but it shouldn't be negative. It can be seen even as just being more like, being more mindful or being more observant or empathetic. Like, sensitive is certainly not a negative thing, and it could be a way that people gather more creativity. Who in here has artistic as their highest thing? Nice. All right. Okay, enterprising. So these are the persuaders and the influencers. These would be maybe someone majoring in entrepreneurship. So someone that wants to be in charge, wants to influence other people. This would include like wanting to maybe start your own business or to do your own thing. Like you really want the autonomy and the independence to run the show or to guide other people in the right direction. So these people that tend to be competitive, maybe more assertive and ambitious, really goal oriented, could be really interested or energized by selling or marketing, just trying to persuade other people to do a certain thing. Also like more likely to be willing to take risks. Like, so doing things where like the result isn't really laid out or well known. So for someone that, maybe is more like investigative, if we think, or maybe even conventional, like when you want something pretty structured and predictable, enterprising would kind of conflict with that. Like you think about like, I don't want to take on this thing if it means I might fail. Like I would rather do something that's more secure for me. And so when you're thinking about these things, it could be in terms of like a career pathway that tends to fit into it. But again, I hope you kind of see too, like it can also predict what kind of work environment you'd be most happy with. Okay, and social, who here is social? Yeah, that's a lot of them. Oh, and I didn't ask enterprising. Who got enterprising as their highest? Nice. Okay. Yeah, social. So these are the people that want to help other people make an impact, can still be influential, but what they do, even if it isn't in a capacity where you're directly working with other people in like a human services role, you still want something that makes an impact and improves the lives of others. Or it will be something like this might mean it's important for you to have a strong social network within your work environment. You might be unhappy working alone or individually or remote, for example, if social is really high, depending on who you are. So working with people, teaching, counseling, serving in some way, making an impact, something that has personal meaning to you, where you gain value from impacting other people. So personality traits that are related to this, being empathetic, generous, patient, cooperative, helpful, agreeable, responsible, which I don't know, anybody can be responsible in these categories, but, okay. So look at your lowest one, on your list. Anybody have any thoughts or gained any insight from looking at the thing that does not matter to you? Is there anything that you found that's helpful?
Investigative. That's my lowest, it's like four. All of my other ones were like double digits and like close to each other. I'm surprised, but also not surprised at all. So I think it's like that, where it's just, I don't know, the idea of being in a lab and doing that data and all that stuff, like that isn't.
Yeah, where you're like just analyzing and researching. Yeah, what's your highest one?
It was social.
Okay,
19.
great, nice, okay. So, with your code, if you go to, actually, never mind, we'll get there on another slide. I get carried away. Okay, so any questions about the Holland Code? Anybody want to share a thought about it? Any helpful insight? Okay, yeah.
So it's really tough all and then enterprise the aids, but then there's a time between artistic and conventional.
Oh, yeah, there's often a lot of ties. I think that it's a great thing. I think it's helpful to know, like, because maybe even on a different day, you wouldn't have a tie, right? Because sometimes the questions are really specific too, like, I want to build cabinets. I don't know if I would go to cabinet, but I would enjoy them in the building, I think. So, I think it's helpful, like with that information, you can dive more into it. Look at examples of careers, look for like themes within those careers. Because it's not as black and white as like either your categories and this is who you are. It's meant to just kind of get it excited, some direction, and some exploration. But it's good to have ties, I think.
You suggest doing this like every year, every couple of months, or maybe if you feel yourself starting to.
That's a good
maybe,
question.
or-
Maybe if you find, like, for me, when I become unsettled in whatever I'm doing, or I kind of get antsy or like itchy, like something like I'm not enjoying my job or I'm not enjoying something about what I'm doing. For me, that's like a good like check-in time where I might like revisit or pay attention to like, what is it that I don't like about what I'm doing? Or, and then maybe that's when like assessments can come in handy. And I think it's hard, like, I think it's hard to know what things about you are going to be static. I mean, you can probably get a sense if you like what's something that's been pretty consistent about you for the last like 20 years. And maybe that would, so yeah, it's so hard to know like what things change. So I think if I was back in time and I was in college, I would probably enjoy doing like a round of assessments like once a year, but I also like assessments. Just to see if anything, like it can be kind of confirming. Maybe for some of you, you have that experience with that results. You're like, oh, this like perfectly aligns with what I'm doing. And so maybe it can ease some anxiety of like your decisions. So yeah, I don't know that much would change like every couple months. But I think once a year could be a good check-in, especially since you're at a time like in college and you're exploring like actively, kind of like wide open still, could be beneficial. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, research your options. So this is one of the other categories or pathways of career exploration. So this is where you're actually just gathering data. So for example, on the Career One Stop site, where some of you took the interest assessment, you probably saw with your results, you can then click a link and it gives you a whole bunch of careers in that category. So this would be an example of just gathering information. So going to particular sites for career exploration to learn more either about the large category that you fall into, or looking at like what types of jobs fit well with a certain personality trait, or learning more about the industries involved in your career pathway. So there's part of this that's just like you're online and you're just gathering information from career sites. These are some of the best ones: ONET, the Occupational Outlook Handbook, Career One Stop. I think the careers in Career One Stop tend to be like at least the list seems narrow to me. So that's where I recommend with like when you look at your results, try and look for a theme within those two. So if it's like, oh, all of these have me working with, like all of these careers work with tools, or all of these careers are working with groups of people. So don't get too stuck on the titles if they seem like way like out of what you're interested in. Just take like a larger perspective and zoom out and look for themes and those suggestions. But on Career One Stop, it is nice because you can pick each of your codes and then it can give you a list of careers that match all three, for example, which can be kind of fun to play with. So looking at job boards, so like reverse engineering, so looking at specific job titles and look at what they're requiring and what the job tasks are. That's a great way to get a sense of the work environment and what you would do in a particular job. In your major and in your department, they often have different pathways or emphases. These are also great ways to learn more about the different pathways you can take within your career. They're offered as like pathways within your major, but those are also reflective of what you can go into with your career. On Handshake, there's a resource called What Can I Do with This Major? It's in the resource library. It's the same steps that you did in order to find Focus 2. It isn't meant to reflect the University of Utah's majors. It's a larger website than that. But in there, it breaks down lots and lots of different majors and talks about the different pathways, the different types of businesses or companies that tend to hire that major. At the very bottom of it, it lists all the different professional organizations involved with that major, which I think is really helpful because those are also great ways to gather information. So if they have like virtual information sessions or conferences and you can start attending things like that to learn more about your career or the different pathways people have taken, that's another way to gather information. The last one is talking to professionals in your careers of interest. So this is also kind of double dipping into networking. So finding someone doing the job that you want to do, or maybe they're at a company you're interested in, or in the industry you're interested in, and picking their brain. We call this informational interviewing. And this could be a whole like workshop in itself and a whole thing you could work on with a coach. But it's basically like a curiosity conversation. Like, what do you want to know? Like you have the best resource, like someone actually doing the job. So you can ask them about like work trends, what advice, what do they hate about their job? What would they have done differently if they could go back in college? Anything that you're curious about. But then from this, you have a connection. You can always ask, like, is there anyone else I could talk to? Or even best case scenario, you're like, oh, well, this is great. I'm actually planning to apply to an internship at your company. You're like, well, let me put you in contact with the hiring manager. Like, that's a jackpot. So sometimes that can also come from these, or is it's also a strategy in order to network. One of the best avenues in order to do this is through a platform called Forever Utah. Anybody heard of this? Familiar with it? You can also find it in the resource library in Handshake, or you can just go to the website Forever Utah. So, but it is a network of alumni from the U that have like signed up to be helpful and to be mentors to current students, or they could be seniors. Otherwise, the way to kind of find these people, if it's not someone you don't already know or know through a person, we use LinkedIn typically to find someone and try to reach out through LinkedIn to see if they'd be willing to have a conversation. They may or may not even like check their LinkedIn. But with the platform Forever Utah, they're alumni that would want to be helpful. And if they've signed up in there, the people that run Forever Utah will see when you've messaged an alumni, and if they don't respond to you, they're like prompting them. They're like, hey, remember you like agreed to be helpful, so like respond and be helpful. Because otherwise, like on LinkedIn, sometimes you just send out messages
And we have a subgroup on the Forever Utah platform. It's transfer students and transfer alumni. So we have a group you can actually talk to other transfer students.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so you can like connect to just other people that are similar to you. Within there, like once you've like created your account, there's a tab that's called like Find a Mentor. And then when you go in there, it just takes you to like the database of alumni. So when I work with students on this, we just put in their major, and then you can find people that were from your college or are still in it. And then there's options to like video chat or set up an appointment with them or write them a message. But that's a lot more like a return on your investment in time, because they're more likely to respond and help you because they've agreed to and they're alum from the U. So that's a great place to talk to a professional, or at least maybe that person can help you find someone more specifically. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we probably won't do this activity just for sake of time, but these are again the places that are some of the best resources. ONET is connected to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that's one of the more accurate sites in order to learn more about salary. So like, for example, one of your work values would be your income, your salary. That's going to be an important part of your research of knowing like how much does this career pathway make, so that you don't end up finding out later that that does not support the lifestyle that I wanted. So the ONET and then the BLS is a great resource to learn more about income and projected job growth as well. Okay, the last category is trying stuff out. So this is actually like physically doing things and finding stuff that you like and you don't like. There's a lot of ways to do this for free. So volunteering is a great way to try stuff on. Internships is ideal as well. And it's okay if you get an internship and you find that like, all right, I do not want to work in this particular industry. It's still a valuable experience. At the very least, you gain some professional skills and you make connections. But internships are not only a great time for you to apply what you're learning, but it's also career exploration. And paying attention to the different roles of the people around you and any position that you're in can also just be another example of gathering information, paying attention to like, what are they doing day to day? How much do they get to interact with people, or like the things that are important to you, and paying attention to those in those sites. Campus involvement, getting involved in a club. Depending on your major, this might be pretty crucial to you being competitive. for an internship or for a job. But in general, employers love to see that you do more than just like go to class and go home. So trying to find a balance in your experience. And also you have access to so many great things as a student. So getting involved in something, try a club out for a semester. If you don't like it, pick a different one, but it's a great way to actually like do things related to what you think you might be interested in, or at least meet people that you could talk to about their career. And it's not on here, other than that's trying stuff out. I'm going to back up in terms of talking to people. Students often overlook what a good resource their professors are. Create relationships with your professors and talk to them like about what they know about the career or the industries, or if they know somebody that you could talk to learn more about a particular career or role. Okay, part-time jobs, even if it's not related, it's still a great way to learn more about your personality, your preferred work tasks, your preferred environment, how you like to work with people, how you work with a supervisor. Again, all of this is like gathering information, because the more you know about yourself, the more information you have to make a decision that fits you. And joining research teams, there's ways to volunteer on research teams. So being able to do stuff paid or unpaid. Volunteering is great because it's such a low commitment. And it doesn't tend to come with a ton of time constraints. So I think that's a great way to try stuff out. Lots of places need people to help them out for free. So again, these are great ways to try stuff on, find things you don't like. And on the note of internships, just so everyone knows kind of the timeline, if you're hoping to get an internship for next summer, those applications start to open now. And will open through the spring, but sometimes students wait until spring and then they've missed a ton of opportunities. So it's a great time to meet with your coach if you haven't yet, and start learning more about like how to find those internships, how to work on your application materials, having a strong resume, cover letter, all those things, just so you don't miss a window of opportunity. And the career fairs are also great places to look for those. Okay, let's move on to the last page. All right, so reflect and evaluate. Again, this is part of just like paying attention and being mindful and not just blazing through your last couple of years of college and missing like little nuggets of information. So paying attention to things you like and you don't like. This could even be like what in your class you find energizing, or you have like homework that doesn't feel like homework. Like that was how I ended up picking my pathway, was like I loved what I was learning and never felt like a burden to do the reading or to do the work. I just wanted to like learn more and more. So pay attention to like, what are you energized by in class? What do you find really boring or hard? What comes easy to you? What do you kind of have like a hunger for? You're super curious to learn more about. These are all, again, just like flags and blueprints to this pathway of like career exploration and learning more. And this is even when you're within your career. Once you start your first career, you want to be doing all of the same things. The more you can stay in a mindset of exploration, then you'll be able to continue to grow and just more likely to find something you enjoy doing. That's the idea. It aligns with who you are as a human and you enjoy doing it for the most part. Like, it's still a job. I think most people probably have lots of things they would rather do on some days than go to work. But for the most part, like you can find a job you enjoy going to and you're satisfied by. So again, it's collecting information and continuing to collect information. And then as you evolve, how can your career evolve as well so it can continue to align with who you are? Okay. See, we have a couple minutes left. Do you have any questions? One of my favorite assessment, it's called 16 Personalities, based on, you like that one?
Love it.
Me too, and your little character you get. So
Is it like the,
yeah, it's based on like Myers-Briggs. So what I really like about it is there are categories within it that are career focused. So it can give you some specific career pathway that align with your personality. It also talked about type of work environment you might prefer, how you work, like your ideal supervisor or boss, and how you are as an employee. I also find the strengths section to be really helpful, especially with just the idea of getting language to define things that need to, because I think that's often part of this thing. I'm good at being nice, but I don't know how to define it. So I think it does a really good job in the street section, thinking that. And then you also get like the fuel requirements, this was like.
Like you're like celebrity.
Yeah, to like, you're the same personality as Lady Gaga. Which is specific. So I really like that website. There's a ton of information. Even like, you as a parent, how are you keeping your romantic relationships? So there's lots of different topics there. That's one of my favorite ones. And then work values has been the one that's just served me well in my own career. And that's something that I'll just share with you guys.